All right, well, welcome back in. This is February and October. So I'm working on February Seek, Gather, Create. This is week 2. I didn't get a chance to do it back in February. So the first item is a face, and I have all of these faces in here that I can use. So I have those. Stripes. So I have this handwritten paper on notebook paper that has all these stripes in it. I thought that would go nice. And the color teal. I inherited this from somebody. I can't remember who. And it is fluid acrylic in teal by Vallejo. And yep. And then wings, or wing. So I have wings in here. I have butterfly wings. I have butterflies. I have butterflies that I can cut the wings off of. And yeah, I guess that's really it for the most part. Different kinds of wings, all different. Oh, here's a single wing. There's a single wing. So I figured those would be fun. And so I've pulled these out. I don't know if I'm going to use them, but I do know I'm going to collage with this to start off with. And let's see if we can't find an accompaniment for this to go with that. Got this, it's not really teal, but it's blue. Oh, I have that. That might be fun. This keeps getting in my way, so maybe some of this can go in. So at least that's a good place to start. Oh, what's this? That might be fun. Yeah, I think that's probably a good place to get started anyways for the collage. All right, let's get into it. When I had originally pulled out this little blue tidbit of paper with the brown on it, I didn't realize on the other side was all this texture. And it had this little nubbin, and at first I put it aside because I wasn't going to collage it on, and I decided, well, you know, we can always use some more texture. So of course I ended up adding it. Now I added 2 pieces of the brown and a little bit of the blue with the brown. So I felt like that will bring and introduce that brown as well as that blue. So yeah, that's what I decided to do, and I love how that ended up in the end because I used that to kind of prop my focal point up, so to speak. At this point with my collage, I was starting to feel like I had a lot of rectangular pieces, And I kept thinking, no, these are just awesome color. There's lots of texture in them. And just keep moving forward. You can rip some of the edges down, etc. And in the end, I really think it gave it that additional stripe feeling, because some of that comes through texturally under all the other layers. So that was kind of fun. All right, well, I'm veering away a little bit from my traditional, which is to go in with gesso right away. But this time I'm going to pull out my 2-inch brayer, and I am going to brayer down some of that teal color really lightly, just trying to catch texture. But in doing so, I really covered up a lot of my stripes from my paper, from my notebook paper. And so I felt like I needed to somehow bring that back. And you're gonna see here in a little bit how I do that. But I really enjoyed doing something a little bit different than my quote unquote norm. So I'm breaking out my super heavy white gesso, and I was a little worried it may have been dried up because it's been a really long time since I've used this. So I pull out a palette knife and I'm going to apply this. I just intuitively, I'm just not following much of a pattern with it, and doing a couple things. One, I want to bring some white back into this and kind of push back some areas, but I also wanted to use it as a texture. So I come in and use that palette knife to create some more lines within this layout so that you can see a little bit more of that. Well, stripes is the item that we were supposed to have, but so I bring in more of those stripes. So once I've gotten that really good and dry, I'm going to come in with my coffee crystals, reactivate that, and then use a round brush and get it with lots of water, get it onto some of those areas where I carved into the super heavy gesso. I want to accentuate those stripes that I've recreated to the page, but I also wanted to bring in some more of that brown because of that really textured piece of paper I added, and it kind of, some of the other areas that had brown in it kind of got lost, and so I wanted to bring that back in. And with that same premise in mind, I want to come back in with some blue, and I thought of one of my favorite things to work with is this Elegant Writer. It really has all this different pigment to it, so you kind of get a variety. And I thought I might get a little bit of purple because I had some purples in there kind of on the bottom center, and so I thought that will really make those stripes really accentuate that and kind of bring in a little bit more of the blue into that as well. So same method, but this time I'm going to draw onto the stripe areas with that pen and then activate it with my water brush, or with my mister.
Don't rely on others to get you through their maze. The dreams are not the same for me.
All right, so now I'm coming in, once I've got everything good and dry, or I think is good and dry anyways, I'm going to come back in, well, I'm going to come in now with some regular gesso, and I'm going to do some finger dry brushing per my usual. And in doing this, my focus really is on two things. It's pushing some areas back and popping some forward. So it's a push-pull. So I want to accentuate texture and get white on the edges, the high points of that texture. And I do that by dry brushing. And I am making that pretty stark and heavy in layers. And then the areas I want to push back, I'm going to leave kind of misty looking almost and let them kind of fade. So some of the edges of where that super heavy gesso was, I'm going to push back and give it a misty edge to it, kind of so it just fades away. And then the high points of the texture, I'm going to be bold with the color, but I have to layer it up. And you're going to see here, I do have a little bit of problem on the left page, kind of in the center where I have some coffee there, because it was really sticky and it wasn't behaving like it usually does when I go to add the gesso in this way, and it was just getting mucky and really textury. So I decided to come in and dry it real well and then go back and redo that area excuse me, so that I would have that more subtle misty kind of look to it, as well as grab any of the texture that was around it.
Shade of blue, but always remind me of you. Trying to figure out how I'm supposed to get through. The dreams are not the same for me. Standing by.
All right, so now I've pulled out some paper dolls. This is a Tim Holtz Ideology product, I believe. I'll have all products listed down below. And I'm looking for a face. And I found what I felt was the perfect little gentleman, not so much a gentleman, a little ragamuffin guy with attitude. And I thought, oh, he is perfect to add wings to. And then I was like, oh my gosh, he would be great to be propped up leaning his elbow on this little lump of whatever was on this piece that I had collaged down. I mean, it is really high off the page, so he literally does have his little elbow rested on there.
Take this anymore.
You can't turn the tide. Let the water go where it wants to go. You can run and hide. You can bury yourself beneath the stones. Somebody told me don't pretend, 'cause everyone could use a friend sometimes. Take some good advice.
I wanted him to be standing on something because I felt if he was leaning, he wasn't in flight. So I did this little dance between this burlap piece and this ribbon, sari ribbon, and the burlap won over. I had to make a few little last minute modifications, but I really liked how that ended up. He was rugged and kind of street savvy, and I just felt like that edge of the burlap was a good choice for him right there. And I really needed to find the words to know exactly how to make that decision about, for some reason, I just couldn't make the decision between the sari and the burlap. So finding words was an important piece to make that happen. So once I found those words, then I come back in and make that final decision to go with the burlap piece.
Let your fear decide. That's how you break inside. You don't need to worry. Somebody's waiting down the line to pick up the pieces. Hey, you'll be alright.